Why am I looking at you?
You're looking at me, sorry. You're welcome back. I'm here chatting with a very special guest in the house here with me. Last week, as you know, we did have factions of the National Youth Council of Nigeria here in the house. It was a very heated session, and we almost got nothing out of it. We're talking about, of course, the Minister of Youth Development, who was fired, Alhaji Abdulkadir Inuwa. And moving on from that, we did take the conversation online, and we had the hashtag Youth Minister Watch, and we told people online to give us names of people who they thought could fit in the role of youth minister going forward. And one of the names that popped up was the CEO of Sahara Energy, Tonye Cole. And he's here with me in the house today. And we're going to talk about all of that, the drama that's unfolded in that ministry. And why are you covering your face? Glad to have you here today.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. There's a lot happening in what is supposed to be a very small ministry, as it were, with not too many parastatals and drama. What is going on in that ministry? Okay, I want to start with a very important question now. Do we need a youth ministry?
Ebuka, I would say absolutely, for one reason and one reason alone. When you look at the demography of Nigeria, the largest population of this country are the youths. Under 30. And everything that is happening, all the policies you're making, everything, whether it's Vision 2020, whether it's transformation agenda, every single thing must involve them because it's all for them. So you need somebody that can listen. So yes, you do need a ministry.
One thing that seems to have been the biggest problem over the years with that ministry is the fact that we've almost always had a square peg in a round hole, especially with the age of the person who gets to be appointed. It doesn't have to be under 35, but we don't necessarily need a 65 or 70-year-old person manning a youth ministry. Or do you think we're making too much of a big deal out of it? Can anybody run a youth ministry?
Okay, two questions. Can anyone run a youth ministry? In other words, can any age run a youth ministry? Yes, that's true. But what you actually need is somebody who can connect with the youth, somebody who has an understanding of what they need, who can talk to them and that they would listen, who they have respect for, and who represents them. Represents them, yes, it's better when you represent in age, but if you have the right age, but someone who is totally lost as to what they need, it's not going to work. So I think the question should be more from the youth and what they want is that is the person or whoever it is representing, indeed, what do we want? What do we want? Who can speak for us and carry our voice to the places that we need to be heard in?
That is a very good question because I've had a few youth panels on this show as well, and there seems to be an issue with deciding what we want. What should we actually be looking for from a ministry or a minister for youth development?
And I think the major problem that a lot of youths have is, one, they don't really know what they want. So there's a lot of division. Individually, we tend to have an idea that, okay, this is what I want for myself. But this is more than I now. We're now talking about a demography, we're talking about a nation, we're talking about youths and what should drive us forward. I think when you now start breaking it down, we find out that unfortunately as a nation, ideology becomes a problem. We don't have an ideology that unites us. So for the youth, the first thing that they need to do is what unites us? What can we say is our driving ideology? And that's the first question. Once you know that, then it becomes easy for you to begin to develop what you want, what can drive you to achieve the ideologies that you have created. And that's where the answer lies.
It's a very tough demographic to handle. Like you said, it's the largest demographic in the country. So many diverse opinions, literate, illiterates, north, south, religions, tribes. There's so much. How do you get together that sort of units to have a voice? Like we saw last week here, I don't know if you watched, we had the National Youth Council here, and it was a mess. There are 4 factions now. They have 4 presidents, and that is supposed to be the most prominent youth organization in the country that speaks to the government. If we can't even be united on that front, then where are we going to from there?
Exactly. But again, it drives to the point that I've thought about over and over and over again. If you don't have a common vision, and it's more than a vision, let's call it an ideology now. If you don't have a common ideology, then your dissecting voices and your divisions will be pronounced along what you believe is the right thing. And that's why you find arguments like this. So it doesn't matter whether you're north, south, everybody will stand around around something that they believe that this is what's right. So you would find that Christians will stand about their Christian values. Muslims will stand agree about their Islamic values. Within the Christian sect, you have those who will fight for Pentecostals versus Catholics versus Anglicans. In Islam, you will find those who will fight for whether it's Shiites or Sunnis or whatever. So you would keep having that. And then you now break it down to Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa. Within the Yorubas, you have... It can't end.
It can't end.
It can't end.
Yes.
So once we understand that all of this, there's no end to how many divisions you can create, even within subdivisions, then you know that you cannot unite on that level. So that's something that we must understand. So let's stop fooling ourselves that we can unite around being Igbo, Yoruba. You can't, as long as you don't have an ideology. So the first aspect is that what makes us Nigerians? If you say you're a Nigerian, what does that mean? What does it mean to be Nigerian? Is it by where you're born? Is that what makes you Nigerian? Is it by who you marry? Is that what makes you Nigerian? Is it where you live? Is that what makes you Nigerian? So we need to start asking very hard questions of ourselves as Nigerians. And it's the youth. For me, I believe that it's the youth, today's youth, this under 35, who are going to now start running into political office, who are going to now start taking office and going to start driving the same things that they are fighting. Who are not asking these questions, you need to ask it. And you need to ask hard questions. What does it mean for me to be a Nigerian? Until you answer that question, divisions will continue to arise.
We're going to come back to talk about the youth for a bit now, but I want to go to the drama with the minister himself and how he got fired and all of that. We know that there was talk about him getting involved with elections and trying to impose candidates, and one was not favored by Mr. President and all of that talk. I mean, mostly allegations, of course. Do you think it's right for a politician then to hold that sort of a position? Because, I mean, when politics get involved with a lot of things, you know how it always ends up. Should a politician be, or should you get a youth? I don't know how that representative can be picked. I don't know if you're making my points across.
Well, I think first of all, we abuse the term politician, and I think it's wrong. It's another problem that we have. So once you mention politician, almost immediately becomes a derogative term, and it shouldn't be. Now, politicians are from the society. There are people who are called to be politicians, just as people are called to be doctors or called to be lawyers or whoever. So some people actually have it in them to represent the people. They are politicians, and they know that the political office is the best way to represent the people on a large base. So should a politician represent the large base of the people? In terms of the English spoken, absolutely. You should have a politician that can represent and speak for the people, understands what the people are asking for, and goes back into the federal government structure or state government and represent that this is what I hear, this is what's happening, and you should move on. Now, playing politics in the terms of what it's understood to be shouldn't be the case. And that's where we seem to get it wrong. We now feel that if you're going to go and play politics, then the voice of the people does not matter. And it shouldn't be. The voice of the people should always matter. And when you're going in, you're going as a representative, whether you're a senator, House of Rep, or a minister for the youth, you're actually representing the voice of the youth. And the one thing that I found out about the youth is that if you open your mouth and they do not believe what you're saying, in other words, they think you're being too wise, you're not being straight with them, they cut you off immediately. And once they've cut you off, you're in trouble. So you must speak from the heart and you must speak truth.
What sort of a person now do you think we should look at going forward? I mean, like I said, your name did come up online where people were talking about you, talking about who should be minister and all of that. What sort of person do you think we should be looking at now going forward?
Okay, so it's a good question in that, and I'll widen it, because it's not just a question that should be asked for a minister. I think it should be asked for every political office that covers this nation. So you should be asking the same question: what sort of person do we want as our representatives in the House? What type of person do we want for governor? What type of person do we want for president? The first thing that it should not be is that the person should have either come from this religion or that religion, from this zone or that zone. I think once you start going into that kind of argument, you've already lost the plot immediately. I don't think it works for us. You need to first of all begin to look at antecedents. What kind of character does the person have? So character must be important. Is the person one that you know that his word is his bond? In other words, if he says that, you know what, I'm going to do this, I believe in this, then he follows it through. So you should be looking for character. You should be looking for integrity. You should be looking for someone whose lifestyle displays what he says, not someone who pretends to be. You should look for you should look for people with a history, with a sense of understanding, with an understanding of where you have come from. What are the struggles that have happened? I heard you saying over the news about people who have died, and you just said it's a number. You have a number. In other words, there are no faces.
There are no faces, no names.
So we're losing. Life does not matter. We just have statistics. 10 died today. 1,000 died. No statistics, no names. No, you need people who have empathy. You need somebody who actually knows and understands that for every youth that dies, you are actually losing your human resource. For each one of them that goes, you are actually losing a major part of your human resource. And that's what you need. So you need somebody who can connect with what it means to be the young. And not, the youth are the leaders of tomorrow's story that we hear. No, it's not just a story. You need to be able to pull them out. Look for people who understand the value system of what a youth is, and understand that value, if you can push that value and make the person understand the patriotism driven in that value, that tomorrow you can stand as a nation and you grow. There's so much that you need. You need someone who's passionate.
Passion, of course, is very important. Be passionate about the right things.
About the right thing.
I like the fact that you touched on Human Resource Day and the value of a human being. Because I know that a lot of time people talk about the issues in the Northeast now going on and tie poverty to it. And the fact that people are unemployed and all of that. And I know one of the things that the youth ministry is supposed to be working on as well is youth unemployment and, trying to empower people, whether skilled or unskilled or whatever it is. How well are we doing? I know programs like You Win have come up, but they're just very minuscule. How are those the sort of programs we need?
I don't think anything can work in isolation, okay? And I believe that the expectation that the youth have of the youth